Time to take a look at what's been making headlines around the world, online and in publication. And for that, I'm joined here in the studio by Alison Sargent. Hello, Alison.
Hi, Annette.
We're starting out with, obviously, the top story of the day and, of course, the signing of that historic deal, normalising relations between Israel, the UAE and Bahrain.
That's right, Annette. A historic deal, as many papers are reminding us on their front pages today. The Jerusalem Post notes that Benjamin Netanyahu is presenting it as a full peace treaty, giving it a bit of an upgrade, the paper says. Despite the fact that this is a big victory for the Israeli Prime Minister, the Jerusalem Post writes that he is nonetheless sort of turning down the volume a bit on these celebrations due to the coronavirus pandemic and to Israel's upcoming lockdown. Meanwhile, Palestinians today will be marking what they're calling a black day in Arab history, a symbolic mourning that we see represented on the front page of pan-Arab paper Al-Quds. That photo there shows Palestinians carrying a coffin symbolizing the Arab League, a protest against the group's silence on this issue. Still, it would be a mistake to assume that the deal means that Arab countries no longer care about the Palestinian cause. That's according to left-wing Israeli paper Haaretz. In their editorial today, the paper writes that the Palestinian conflict is not just going to go away because of this deal. They write, after the party in Washington and the fantasies of going shopping in Dubai, Netanyahu must show the public a practical plan for solving the conflict with the Palestinians.
Now, before hosting that ceremony in Washington, the President Donald Trump travelled to California for a briefing on the deadly wildfires which have occurred there.
That's right, Annette. Deadly wildfires that the U.S. president still refuses to believe are linked to climate change, despite evidence presented by climate scientists. Donald Trump's attitude, as you can see here, has inspired many cartoonists. In this one, we see firefighters getting a phone call from the president. They say, the president wants to know if we've tried gasoline yet. This cartoon from Pia Guerra from the comic website The Nib, sort of suggesting that Donald Trump is adding fuel to the fire. Tom Tolles from the Washington Post says that the president's attitude can be summarized by one meme. You might recognize it. It's a pretty well-known one. In the original meme, it's a dog. Here, it's Donald Trump sitting in a burning room saying, this is fine. Finally, Kevin Sears of the Charlotte Observer compares the Republican attitude towards climate change to Donald Trump's alleged strategy in the coronavirus pandemic. He admitted he knew it was bad, but said that he didn't want to create sort of public panic. Well, here Republicans are saying, we knew climate change was true, but we didn't want to create any panic.
Now, staying in the US for this next story, new allegations have emerged about abuses in American detention facilities.
All right, these allegations are brought forward by a nurse who worked at an ICE detention facility in Georgia. A complaint filed on her behalf describes a series of healthcare abuses, including, perhaps most alarmingly, a high rate of hysterectomies. That's the surgery in which all or part of a woman's uterus is removed. Now, this nurse said that the procedure was performed by an off-site doctor who she called the uterus collector. She said that many women who were Spanish speakers didn't seem to understand why they were having the procedure. The Guardian writes that U.S. immigration services have so far declined to comment on these new allegations.
Yes, something along the lines of The Handmaid's Tale there, isn't it? Yeah. Very grim. OK, moving across the Atlantic to the UK, where the latest COVID-19 restrictions limiting gatherings to just 6 people is sparking controversy because of one activity which is actually exempt from the rule.
That's right, Annette. This activity is grouse hunting. This has the left-wing tabloid, the Daily Mirror, up in arms. You can see their front page headline here. Unbelievable. They write, families banned from meeting up, neighbors told to spy on each other. But don't worry, the government says you can still go grouse shooting with 29 chums. Critics accuse the government here of wanting to give an exemption to the, quote, blood sport passions of their big donors, perhaps wanting to give an exemption to their own passions, because you'll see on that front page it actually includes a photo of a young Boris Johnson showing off his kill after a day of hunting.
OK. Meantime, Authorities in Indonesia have come up with a somewhat radical punishment for people who don't follow those rules about wearing masks.
That's right, Annette. 8 people who were caught leaving their homes without masks in Indonesia were forced to dig graves for coronavirus victims at the public cemetery. Local authorities in East Java said that they only had 3 grave diggers available, so they thought, hey, we might as well put these rule breakers to work. They also say they hope it could really act as a deterrent for future violators of mask-wearing requirements. It is quite a dark story, but it's kind of good food for thought, something that maybe some world leaders should be forced to do.
Indeed. And ending on the theme of COVID-19, but on a slightly lighter note, Halloween is coming up at the end of October, and the Harvard Global Health Institute has created a map to help people celebrate responsibly. So how do you do it?
I know. Well, Harvard's Global Health Institute, Annette, has partnered with an organization I didn't know existed until today. This is the Halloween and Costume Association, and they have created a color-coded map showing which U.S. counties are the most risky for infections. That way you can adapt your celebrations based on your risk level. They then have suggestions for how you can celebrate if you have to stay inside, if you're maybe in a red zone. An indispensable tool for Halloween enthusiasts that could maybe be used for other upcoming holidays and adapted to other countries as well.
Indeed, says it all about 2020, doesn't it?
It certainly does.
Anyway, if you want to take a look at the stories we've been talking about, you can, of course, head to our website, that being france24.com. And that is it for this edition. Do stay with us here on France 24 because my colleague will be coming back at the top of the hour with more news and headlines.